Indian Wells Cabernet Sauvignon. It's the same year. It's also 2017. So what would be the main differences between these two cabs?
What we want to achieve on a different quality levels, we call it different tiers. The other Cabernet, we call it Columbia Valley because it's a reflection of the entire valley, the entire region. Indian Wells is one vineyard in one place called the Walook Slope that has a little bit less diurnal shift. That the day and night temperature difference is not as big. Okay. And so for me, this becomes a little bit richer. So actually, I tend to explain it in a simple way by saying this is the most Californian style wine made in Washington. It has a little bit more body, it has a little bit more spice. Because of the richness of the fruit, the ripeness of the fruit, which is a little more intense, the wine gets a tiny little bit more oak. So you get a little bit more oak sweetness, some muscat, you get some maybe a little coconut, you get a little bit of smoke to it. That really suits that Cabernet style that you get from that location. So we wanna refer to this as a little bit more of a New World style, where the Columbia Valley is a little bit more of a typical Washington Old New World style. So that would be the difference.
Super interesting to compare them, because I mean, also since it's the same year, it's the same vintage, so it gives a really good view on these differences. But the funny thing is, I would say that I would have guessed in a blind tasting that the Indian Wells was slightly older than the Columbia, than the other one. For some reason, it just gets hints of sort of leather and coffee and stuff like that would suggest maybe that it's. But it is. So I guess it's just the vineyard itself and the microclimate in that area that makes a difference, which is also interesting.
Your point is excellent, because if you go back to what I mentioned earlier, because this is a little bit warmer, the acidity is a tiny little bit lower. And that always gives the impression that the wine is a little bit riper, and riper wine always gives people the impression that it's a little bit older than it is. That's just imagine in 15 years' time when you and I think we're going to do some Botox because we think we need it. This wine did not need it yet. Something else that is probably attractive to understand for our audience, for the viewers, it is 90% Cabernet and 10% Syrah.
Yeah.
10% makes a difference. 1 or 2% makes a difference. Sometimes when there's 2% and people ask me, why do you put it in? I say the funny thing is because we topped up the barrel, but the smart thing is it really makes a difference. Yeah. Cabernet Sauvignon tends to be a donut by itself. The flavor profile, the roll with the hole in the middle. That hole in the middle would kind of be that mid palate that's sometimes a little shallow, a little thin. Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Merlot, and Malbec have a very intense mid palate. Yeah. So a little bit of that Syrah that is also flavorful, extremely flavorful in Washington, adds some additional flavors, and it adds a little bit mid-palate to the wine. So it is for body and for flavor purposes.
How long? I mean, if we're talking aging, how long would you keep? It serves super well right now, but I mean, how long could you keep it if you like your wines really really well aged? Would you say?
I actually like if you like your wines well aged. This is easily gonna take 10 years. I like to drink this a little bit younger because that's where it truly shows its origin, its DNA. It's a little bit richer. It has gone to the gym a little bit more often. It has more muscle, it's a fuller body, and I think that in this scenario, it just goes well. This would be my perfect steak wine. If I put a chunk of meat on the grill outside on the barbecue, this is probably close by because it cost me 1/3 of what I would pay for a similar Cabernet quality from Napa. And the neighbors are still coming. I told you about them. Believe me, they do come.
And you don't need anything else. You just need a chunk of meat and a bottle of this, and then your dinner is served.
A chunk of meat and a bottle of red. Meat and red. Here you go.